So my experience is the great founders almost always feel like you almost always feel like you're too late, and you're almost always too early. And you almost always feel like you're too late. The reason is because for you, it's become obvious. You've got some idea in your head, and like as far as you're concerned, the world should already work this way, which is why you're pursuing it. And so to you, it's a little bit inexplicable as to why it hasn't happened yet, and there must be 80 other people going after the same idea, and it must be just about to happen, and I must be too late, which is, by the way, which is actually how I felt. The reality is you're almost always too early. We almost never see a qualified founder fail because they're too late to market. It's almost always because they're too early to market, and I think, by the way, and I don't say that critically, I think when we screw up investments, I think that's often the reason as well. I think we're in the exact same boat as the founder in that degree, which is we believe it's going to happen, therefore we invest, and it just turns out the way the history gets written is the world just wasn't ready yet. So I always like to point out, like the iPad was like this breakthrough product in 2009, and they were, Apple, oh my God, they invent all these things. Well, there was this thing called the Newton 20 years earlier in 1989. If you haven't heard of it, it was the iPad 20 years earlier, and it was like virtually the same thing. And the world just wasn't ready yet. The technologies weren't in place. You didn't have mobile broadband. You didn't have the high-resolution screens. You didn't have the battery technology. And they brought the thing to market, and it crashed and burned, and it convinced people for 20 years that tablet computing would never work. And then they did it again at the iPad, and it worked. And so I think that, in a lot of ways, that's the biggest risk, the biggest conceptual risk we all deal with.